the perfect appointment, all we're trying to do is to find out what's the best way. We can talk about it, we can cogitate through it and make sure we come up with the right thing. But, okay, so, the do's and don'ts. It's open to the floor, guys. So this is from the point of, in effect, I'm now turning up to the appointment. Did we do what to take with us on the appointment?
No.
Right, so we'll start there, right? So we are now in the office. We've booked it brilliantly. We've put a call in. We've had a pre-val letter. We've done all the stuff that we said we were going to do. I'm now in the office and I'm about to go to this appointment. What should I take with me? What is the kit? Lister's kit. Camera. Disagree if you need to.
Take measure?
Yeah.
Measure. Yeah. Someone else?
Business card?
Yeah.
Marketing material?
I'll turn this off for you, Carl.
Yeah.
What do you mean by marketing material?
Anything that we use to give our firm an advantage.
And is there, I mean, do we have like a,
Yeah.
Brochures and...
Folder with all the information of the company in.
so we've got the info folder. What else?
iPad?
Sorry?
iPad?
iPad? You've all got iPads, have you?
No, we haven't.
If you've got one.
Yeah, to do floor plans.
Obviously not every branch has them, no? Okay, so iPads if you have one. What else?
Not buyers.
List of buyers.
If I know that they're looking to buy in the area, I take details of properties we've got on the market.
So info on their property search, yeah?
Yeah, or properties similar to that property that we have on the market.
Their one.
Yeah.
That's comms, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you said that one.
Info on property search. So if they're looking locally, we can take them, and I put info rather than just details, because it could be local information, the property paper from that area, schools list, whatever might be appropriate. What else? There's a really big one actually, I'm surprised there's a card yet.
I'm trying to think the word for it. Like the sign up form, so almost if you're trying to get contracts.
That was the one that I was surprised wasn't there. A contract. Has anyone ever been to a house where the owner has said yes, go ahead, and they haven't got a contract? I have. It's like suicide, isn't it? What else?
We would take wellies, just in case it's something.
Wellies?
Wellies, yeah.
Yeah, if it's an agricultural property where you've got to go in the garden, yeah, why not? Wellies, yeah. What else?
Property fact find.
Sorry?
Property fact find.
A fact find. What's a fact find in your language?
A question about the house. When you take the house on, we have a document that either's way, his rights away.
So you'd fill that out at the point they're signing the contract sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you need a fact find to take a house to the marketplace. What else? Do you have money laundering process? Proof
Oh
of
yeah,
ID?
I do, yeah.
Proof of ID form or something, is that what it's called? What do you call it?
Just proof of ID.
Proof of ID. So is it a form or just you have to take it?
Well, we just take copies of it.
Yeah.
So you know to do it, it's not part of the contract or a separate sheet.
No, we just know to do it.
Okay. Anything else, or have we got our indicative list?
So as Rightmove, we get the pie charts that show how we're performing against others, and if you've got a good one, then it's worth taking.
So right move reports. Does everyone take those?
Yeah.
Would have thought you would, yeah.
Zoopla Pro have good ones as well, which we've started using a bit more, haven't we?
Possibly Zoopla Pro. What's the advantage for you guys in particular taking Zoopla Pro?
The only ones on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, many competition are on the market, aren't they? Which is daft.
We take out a selling strategy, but I think that's quite specific to our office, something we put
Is this this
together.
12-point thing that you talked about? So, a selling that you pre-prepared, or
Yeah,
so you looked at this type of property and have sort of said these are the 12 things
it
I'm
just
going to do.
covers like all what we do, like where we advertise. It's just almost like snippet bullet points of everything, and then on the back there's pictures of us and a little bit of wording about each of us and all our emails, and we leave that with them.
So it's not specific to an actual property, it's more
No,
general.
it's more general.
Yeah, okay.
Is it the same for every property?
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
take the same.
It's a branch ID form.
So you might be worth having a look at it, see if it works. We're going to have a list of CVs, weren't we? We're going to have CVs about each lister.
Mm.
So I know that they were
Oh, yeah.
they're being done. So CV, list of CV. So this is who I am. That's what I do. That's why you should instruct me. What else?
A board, just in case.
Do you put your own boards up?
Yeah.
Yes.
You get away
Apart from
with
Ray
that.
We don't know this isn't.
So if they instruct you, you literally will go out and put the board up.
Yeah.
Usually before we've done detail.
Yeah, fine. As long as you've got a contract in your hand, yeah. Boards. Good list.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly go through it though to make absolutely sure. If I have bond docs for affiliates, bearing in mind that we have just signed off that there's going to be mystery shops done. So trust me, you will be attending mystery shop valuations. Not, I might add, to check that you're doing it right, but to make sure that we understand where the areas of development are. So no individual is ever going to be highlighted as doing this right, wrong or indifferently, but we need to make sure that the experience we're delivering is the best it can possibly be, because we want to improve the conversion rate. I presume everyone here wants to improve the conversion rate. So this is so we can provide information back to the group once a quarter as to how we're doing. The only element of individuality about it is going to compete. It's going to put office v office. So you will be championing your office's score against another office's score to see if Office A is doing a better job than Office B. And also where people say, oh, we found it's impractical, because that's really odd because Office A is able to do it, but Office B isn't. But do we all take a camera every time on a valuation? Do we have enough cameras for every valuer to do it for a start?
No.
So it's not particularly possible. So we can't take a camera on every valuation.
Well, we
Well,
try
wages
to,
and
it's
wages.
just about diary management.
Yeah.
Okay, where we can though. Because we've got to write this in the right way. When we write it, we have to write it in the way that we mean it. So camera is if it's not in use. Yeah? Do we always take a measure?
Yeah.
Always? Everyone, you've got a measure of each?
Yeah.
We always take comps.
Yeah.
We always take a biz card.
Yeah.
We always take a info folder.
Yeah.
iPads for those that have got them. For those that have got them, are they company iPads or their own?
Company.
Company iPads. Yeah. Okay. We'll need to list which offices have got those so that we can. You would use them for what?
Well, floor plans, we can do the floor plans on them. Like,
There and then.
yeah, I use it a lot for checking my emails when I'm not at work.
Right.
Yeah, we can go through
Tinder?
things. Yeah. You got one as well, haven't you?
Couldn't possibly say.
Yeah, anything that we might want.
Can you get on the internet with them?
I can hotspot it to my phone,
Right.
yeah.
So you could do research for a client
Yeah.
if you were with them.
Yeah, or take them to the Bond Doctor Phillips website or...
List of buyers.
We may have some in our head, but I know it's something.
I don't
we were saying
usually,
last
to be honest, I don't
time.
usually take
Yeah.
a full list of buyers. I will do sometimes, but not all the
Remember,
time.
one of the things that we said was always evidence what you
It's
say.
worked well as well,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
So there is no doubt in my mind, if you turn from what's here into an evidenced piece of information, here is my list of buyers, evidence is more important to the client than what you say, because all the agents are going to tell the client they've got a list of buyers.
The problem I find is if you show them someone's name, they probably know most of them, and then there's
You
no
don't give them the list, you just
That's my worry. In
point
a
at it.
There is-
small town,
There's a list within FIBRA where when you have the market appraisal, you can actually select a list of buyers for each office, and the way the list is produced is it would just bring up Mrs. B, Mrs. C, Mr. A, and it would just have the price values of what they could do. More than happy to show you guys that when you get back to the office, that's fine.
Your concern over the client knowing who they are and then doing a bit of James Bond spy work and going to find out who they are and selling their house to them direct is not valid.
No.
Clients don't behave like that. 1 in a million might, but the conversion of your instruction rate will go up if you provide evidence. The best estate agents with a network like you would probably create 2 lists. One is, here are the list of buyers I've got that have registered with my branch. But as you probably know, one of the advantages of instructing BOP is we've got a network, here's a list of buyers that would also be interested that my network have got. When you instruct me, both lists will be engaged with. You could eliminate the one office businesses, yeah, through using that approach.
Right.
Lesson number 1, use your network. So it might be worth going to the extra length of going to 2 lists, yeah? So one for you and one for your network. I know the network list is probably not going to buy this property, but the client still sees that.
You have a list, another
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
And you can hint at it. You can say, that, and that's one of the advantages. You know, the local only businesses are relying on just this list. I've got this list plus this list. Yeah. Obviously, you don't leave them with the list. I feel we've said the word list too many times. But you don't leave them with the list. Yeah, clearly. You just have to. It's just a. You almost flick through it. Info on their property search proves what?
That you're paying attention to them, you're listening to what they're after, and
At the point of booking, for a start. Yeah.
Yeah.
It also means that the booking procedure has to be followed. Yeah, we do the booking process well, we all agree positive, negative or neutral. Yeah?
Yep.
Or we absolutely agree that the appointment can be positive, negative or neutral, yeah? What happens from the minute you knock on the door to the minute you leave is definitely going to be a key part of whether you do or don't do it. Some people will have already decided to instruct the BOP and really all you've got to do is drop the ball or put it in the net. Some people will have already decided, unfortunately for you, I'll be honest, that they're not going to instruct you and you are there for a price backup. It gives you an opportunity to change their opinion, but ultimately, it's the big part of the deal, isn't it? The appointment. When we get to list of buyers, info on property search, I think that's really important because so many agents go with what's in it for them. I would almost open with that and say, look, you know, let's just understand a little bit. I've done this research for you on your property needs. Here are all the 3 beds in Barnstable that you can get. How do they fit with your thinking? Here's a list of all the schools and hospitals and gyms or whatever it is that might be appropriate. You're going beyond what other agents will probably do. And as we agree, you have to stand out. It's a fine, £5 fine. Sorry. £5 fine though. No, go on, you put £5. Contract. It is suicide, well not suicide, but it is rather daft to go and really put on your peacock display, get on the theatre, the client's absolutely lapping you up, wants to instruct you there and then, and you cannot take the instruction because you haven't got a contract. But it happens.
We don't do that. We have to do it later because you've got to input loads of things into the contract before you print it.
We've got blank ones.
We've got blank ones set up.
Where you've got
We have
the
to
weeks
do
and the
it.
fee and the price.
Oh, right. It was something I've never been told to take a contract. Never knew that was.
Which is why we have these sorts of meetings.
Yeah.
So, how many of you can sign the client up in the house on the day if you want to?
We have carbonated ones.
Yeah,
printed.
we've got
So
the same
we
as you
use
guys,
it,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. We don't. We
You
have
can
to go
leave them
back
with a
and
copy,
put
we take
loads
a
of-
copy back to the office.
Give some chance.
So let me just do that again, guys. Put your hand up and lead your hand up if you can,
Yeah.
and put your hand up and lead your hand up if you can't.
We can, but we don't.
I was going to say, yeah, we'll literally go back to the office and then sign them up and then take the contract
So
the same
your
day.
Barnstable obviously, so
Yeah.
Is it just those 2 offices that don't, or can't, or won't? Just those 2, yeah? So just quickly, let's work on that. Why? Think about it. I just want to pose the question. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I just want to pose the question.
I mean, we do take properties on there and then, but never produce a contract. Like, we'll do it the same day. Like, we'll go back. Like one I did yesterday. On Friday. Literally got the contracts and just went back and gave it to her the same day.
So let's just quickly work on the positive, negative, and neutral. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
What's the positive of potentially going back to the office, sending it to them, waiting for it to come back, or going to the office, driving back to them, emailing it to
I
them?
totally think that if there is such a thing, like you guys obviously do, having something they can do there and then, absolutely we should be doing that.
Well,
Definitely.
you know there is because you can just ask
Yeah,
them to email
exactly.
it to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
You have
Carbonated ones.
leave them with a copy.
Yeah.
Is yours carbonated?
No, we just print ours on headed paper, so we've got customer copy at the bottom, office copy on the other one. So
I'd suggest you speak to these guys because I don't know if you're aware, but if you do not leave the client with a copy,
No,
That
it's
we
a copy
do,
for us.
yeah, we copy for them. So we take basically two out of them.
You fill it out twice.
Yes, we fill it out twice.
So their solution's a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes up time saving, yeah.
So I would suggest you speak to them. Do it your way. If you do not leave the client with a copy, it's not legally binding because you can take it away and change it.
Yeah, we always do.
And frankly, I would if I could.
Yeah.
Every instruction would be 2%, 24. Price that I said, you know.
Yeah.
You have to leave them with a contract, and it's silly to fill out two. I think it actually would possibly show the business to be a little bit backward. Yeah, if you're sitting there filling it out. So you're converted to it. Tell me, why wouldn't you sign a client up at the house?
Well, it's not that we wouldn't, we just...
Never have.
Yeah, we just never have, I suppose. We send the details and say check them, check that you're happy with them. If there are any amendments you'd like to make to them, you know, please amend them and send back your signed contract at the same time.
Okay, so it's more of a routine than
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So but let's just, because it's important to establish whether it's worth breaking your routine for the possible benefit. What if I really think your set of details are horrendous?
Yeah.
I think, Jesus, this is not the representation of my house that I wanted.
Well, hopefully people would see me as approachable enough to say to me, I don't like your pictures, change them.
Hopefully.
They would.
If you if you sign the contract, that they can argue about it gives them an opportunity to say, I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
What if in between that process they get a call from Webbers and they say, well, I'm really sorry, I've gone with Bond Oxford Phillips, and the guy from Webbers says, I'll do it for 100%. Now, if they sign your contract, they can still have the 14-day cooling off period. I do grant you, but my personal view, and any book you read, will be, first of all, it will tell you always be closing, and secondly, if they give you the opportunity to close, make sure that's contractually binding. And the only way you can do that is to put out a contract and sign them up. So I would urge you to break that routine because there's no obvious benefit for it.
Yeah.
If the client has signed a contract, it's morally much more difficult for them to give you the 14-day notice. They genuinely signed a bit of paper.
Yeah.
I would get that piece of paper signed as early in the process as you possibly can.
Can I just maybe ask as a percentage-wise how many people do get a signed contract on the day as a percentage?
I can tell you it's a reducing amount. The reason I know it's reducing is because more people are getting more agents out. So research would suggest that you guys will tell your bosses that every valuation you go on, there's probably 4 to 5 agents gone out on it. In reality, either you're fibbing or your clients are fibbing to you, because actually the average person gets one valuation. The vast majority of people get one valuation. They might tell you they're getting others, but there is a growing number of people that are getting a second and third valuer out to check price, because I think there is a misunderstanding of what price, because the market's been up, down, left, right, stagnant, people really don't know what their house is worth. So they get one, and then they think, well, I better get another one, and then the other one's miles apart, so they get a third one. Now obviously, in that instance, if they're getting third valuations, unless you're last, it's unlikely you're going to get a signature on the day. So I think it is a shrinking amount, but what, 2 in 10? I mean, you tell me guys, 1 in 10, 2 in 10 sign on the day?
Right. Yeah.
And if they're going to give you the contract on the day, put yourself in a position of being able to take that contract, rather than have 1 in 100 change their mind because they could. Yeah? It's only about marginal gains. But, and I would do it their way with a carbonated, and if the business got together and just bought a load, does it have the office's address on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all branded and everything. We've got to be branded. Well, Mark's all it out for us, isn't he? So.
Yeah, and we've got it.
You're in the same office?
No, we're in Bude, Weybridge, so. But
it says, so it's got a little tick box, so if you need to get a board, if they're happy to, make sure you have that conversation with them.
Yeah.
Do you want a board?
It would be good for the business to have unified terms anyway.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the contract has probably been checked by a lawyer, so Carl, I think you should take that.
Yeah, it's the same one, yeah.
And let's all get a carbonated pad. It then becomes down to the individual choice. If you still prefer, it's your style to give them that option to think about it. That's not for me or anyone in this room to tell you otherwise. But statistically, you've got to be better to get the contract in your hand than you have to leave it open for debate. But at the very least, get one so that you've got the chance.
We still do what you do with the details, so I wouldn't just because I've got a signed contract and done
Not
business, I
send
wouldn't
the
just
details.
put the
No,
policy
no,
line.
no, no, no,
We still give them the option to change things and
Yeah, you should still write to the client saying, thank you for the instruction, here's a set of details,
Yeah.
are you okay? But it's much harder for them to say, well, no, I hate them and I'm going somewhere else, because they physically signed your contract, yeah? Contract wellies?
Yep.
Yes, obviously from someone.
Always in a boot.
Can I just ask one more thing? Do people get their contract signed on the take-on? Say they haven't got it one signed on the valuation, you
Just
get
get
it
it
signed on
signed
the
as soon as
take-on?
possible.
Yeah, but sometimes we'll get them up to the office actually
Or
to
just,
sign.
or just go
Yeah.
to the
Take
take
on.
on sign.
Someone can sit in that chair.
Yeah.
Sit there.
Always get it signed on the take-on? If you haven't had it signed on the valuation?
Yeah, if not before.
What was the question, sorry?
If you haven't had a signed contract to the valuation, but they ring you up and say,
Yeah,
take it on,
yeah.
I'm just asking these guys if they bring a signed contract then at that point, because
Yeah,
we
Because
don't, we'll
yeah,
go,
we
take
wanna
our
get
photos,
viewings.
send our details.
Yeah.
I've always got them in my bag, so whenever anybody like
Yeah. I don't like.
forget a whiff that they'd signed
I
it,
would
so-
never send a contract to someone saying, can you send it back, because you are leaving it open. People don't like signing contracts. So there's a good chance,
Addressed envelopes then.
but there's a
I-
good chance,
There's
there's
a
a good,
cost thing with it as well.
I don't like
which
doing
I quite
anything
like.
until the contract's signed, personally.
well, and also you're alerting other agents to the fact that it's for sale and you haven't
Yeah.
actually got a contract. So if you're asking me what I would do, if a client rang me up and said, look, I want to go ahead with you, my next question would be, okay, when can we meet? And my purpose for meeting would be to get the signed contract in my hand, and it would be as soon as possible as far as I was concerned. Yes, I can post it to them if they live in Dubai or they're not local and the house is empty. But I promise you, for every contract you post, there are people that have got it. It just sits on their coffee table. They do not want to sign it. You have to chase to get it back. It's also outside the Estate Agency Act to commence marketing without that contract in your hand. Yeah, you're breaking the Estate Agency
Yeah.
Act.
Or even if you make up some bullshit and say, I'll just come around and pop your board up, knock on the door, here's the contract.
Just for the camera, it didn't mean bullshit.
Did you just say we're breaking the Estate Agency Act if we put the property on the market without getting a signed
Yeah,
contract?
if you've got a
Did you
contract
say
in your
that?
hand, you're outside the Estate Agency Act. You have to have signed terms of agreement because, well, the law says, the Estate Agency Act says there has to be agreed terms between vendor and agent. It's what your interpretation of agreed is. Most lawyers would say agreed is a written binding contract between the two parties, not a verbal agreement. Now, the other problem is, what if you sell it before the contract comes back? What are you potentially opening yourself up to?
She's
Not getting paid.
Yeah.
Client saying, well, actually, you've sold it really, really fast. I'm going to pay you 1.5%. Probably sounds a bit too much, actually. I'm going to pay you 1.25%. Yeah, I can tell from body language that's still too much. I'm going to pay you 1%. Yeah, we know in the right space. You're a bit stuck, aren't you? You're not empowered to do anything.
No.
What do? Because you could say, well, actually, or I'm going to pay you nothing. So my view would be, the minute the client indicates that they want to sign with you, take the signature as quickly as you can get it. Because they're right at the point where they're the happiest they've been about you. Get their contract. But still do all the other nice stuff, confirming, thanking them for the instruction, giving them the letter, which we'll build into the process later. But yes, of course, all of that nice stuff should still happen. Getting that call a little bit afterwards, getting the valuation letter, etc., etc. But definitely put yourself in a position where you can sign it. Then you have to make personal decisions on how your personal style is. But my advice to you would be: get face to face, get a contract signed as early as you possibly can. If that's on the first appointment, brilliant. But I think we'd agree that's probably a decreasing percentage of people that do that. If we start prospecting and canvassing, that percentage will go back up because you're asking people to sign with you that are coming out of a contract with somebody else. The other thing is predated. So if you're taking it off of Weber's and the client says, I'm happy to go ahead with you, don't say, okay, I'll come back at the end of their 3 weeks notice. Sign it with the date that's in the future. Predate. Wellies, where appropriate. Fact find, I'm not sure I can remember what fact find was.
There's a questionnaire that we tailored in our office, which will just literally find out where rights of way are, what services.
Is that unique?
No.
It isn't, no. I think we shared it across the other offices.
We
You
got
guys use it,
instructions
don't
as
you?
well.
Yeah.
We don't use it.
We do it.
So you do it once they've signed up.
Yeah.
You're doing it on the
So we're
valuation.
doing it on the take-on.
It's got all the
generally.
type of questions that viewers will come out with, like
Okay.
which boundary are you responsible for?
But you're doing, is it part of the valuation process or part of the take-on process?
Take it with me on the valuation and just say whilst I'm going around doing my take on, assuming I've got it, fill this in for me, please.
Okay. Is that uniform?
No, we don't
No.
do that.
We do it, but at a different stage.
Yeah.
We do
Right,
it once.
so let's debate it because we're writing a process for the business. I think what some of you are saying is you do it at the point they said they want to give you the house, and others are saying they do it as part of the valuation process. Just so if it's part of the valuation process, regardless of whether they're instructing you or not, put your hands up. That can't be right because it's on this form. You only get the form if they instruct you.
Oh, is it like, okay, we don't do it.
Yeah,
on
but
those,
this purpose was to what you take out on MA, wasn't it?
Okay, so you
Take-
physically
take
got
it
it,
with
but
you,
would only
take it,
produce
take
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so take it with you, but use it if they instruct us,
theory,
right?
it should-
That's why we've got the
Yeah.
confusion.
But it
Okay,
should be done. It should really be done on MA because it gets the client in the habit of signing something.
Yeah.
I think it's a moot point, but I think the point is we all agree that it should be in our kit.
Yeah.
How you use it is probably largely irrelevant, other than the fact that it might highlight some issues that you need to know. It potentially gets them in the habit of signing something. The information might have an indication on your valuation, might be
Yeah.
right away,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or some odd thing. The proof of ID is just a request, isn't it? There's no form as such.
No, we just, to be fair, I do that on the take-on. So
Yeah.
we've got an eye scan on the iPad, that's the other thing we use the iPad for.
Yeah, you get it on your phone. I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
Just a photograph.
We can take
So
payment.
do we just take a photograph of the document?
Just take it's a proper. It's an app, so it like squares it up and stuff.
So how do you guys get proof of ID then? Just out of interest, obviously I know that we've got some technologically advanced people.
I just take a photo of it on my camera.
I take a
on my
photo
phone.
of my phone, yeah.
Who doesn't use the photograph, the phone camera?
We did both really.
Come in with photos.
Yeah, people can still come in and we can take photocopies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you're there, and then you
If you're there and you've got it, then you take it. Yeah.
Okay. Would everybody do that?
Try to.
Yeah. So because it's nice and swift, isn't it? It's done.
Yeah.
They haven't got to come to you. It's nice and convenient for the client.
Yeah.
Right move reports. There's several best price, all that sort of stuff. Zoopla Pro, if that's what you want to use. There is an advantage for you guys using Zoopla Pro because it eliminates some of your competition if they happen to believe that's the right thing to do. Do you use Zoopla Pro quite a lot as a differentiator between you and the competition?
Recently, we've started using it a bit more.
You should do because it is a big differentiator between you and Webbers for a start because they're on the market, aren't they?
Yeah.
You've got 15 million eyeballs, they've got about 1.5. And I would be saying, look, clearly we've still stuck with the more expensive marketing solution for our clients because we know it gets more inquiries. There are agents that have gone with this on the market, which is much cheaper.
I'm always harping on about valuation, so I might as well take the proof.
But if you're not, guys, that is a differentiator. And I don't think it's going to be a differentiator for very long, so I'd suggest that you do take advantage of it. But do it in a subtle way. I wouldn't say that Webbers aren't on the market because they'll say, well, who are Webbers? Oh, sorry, they might say that. I would say to them that just so that you know, we're not one of the agents that have dropped the expensive option of marketing with Zoopla because we know it's the best option for our clients. Some have stayed with Rightmove but dropped Zoopla in favour of a much cheaper, smaller, less effective alternative. The other thing that you can say, and Zoopla is very good for attracting London buyers because it's by far the biggest website in London, bigger than Rightmove. So the agents in London dropped Rightmove, not Zoopla.
Really?
Yeah, Zoopla's
Well,
huge in London. Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so you can quite definitely say to people without fear of contradiction that it's the best way of attracting buyers from London and or inside the M25 because it's the most used website.
Is there a particular reason for that? Or?
It's because where they spend all their marketing money.
Right.
And it's got things like distance to tube, which is irrelevant out here, but it's
It's like 35 miles to the nearest tube in a
do you
train.
actually have tube stations?
Oh no, it always comes up with train station.
Do you have
though.
trains?
Yeah, or bus.
50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Not in Weybridge.
Some of the London agents will go from appointment to appointment on a tube. They don't take the cars into London. You can't because you can't park. It's too expensive. Selling strategy if you use it. It would be worth circulating if you could perhaps email it to Carl to just distribute to see if everybody else wants to have a look at it.
Mark was going to get like a central thing where anybody could put any documents in that any of us could see and access.
Okay,
I don't
tell
know
him
how
to
he's
hurry
getting on with
2
that.
weeks. Well, he's forgotten, isn't he? Because
No
it's
idea.
It's 2 weeks on and we've forgotten. But I presume some people would like to have a look at that to see if it might be a way. I think we'll probably leave it outside of the process because it's a personal thing, but if it ends up getting edited, it does. Lister's CV, well, they're being produced by the business, so all of you will presume have a photograph taken. And it's, in fact, we've got a wee photograph.
Photo's been done, yeah.
They'll be asking you for some a bio. You know, give us 100 words on who you are personally, rather than your where you live, what school you went to, is you local, and a board. I've not heard of a board before. I've never put a board up. There you go. So.
Not lived.
I feel I'm not complete. I feel like I'm missing something. So, that's what you take out with you. Yeah? And we'll write that down, we'll get that. We might add some bits as we think through it. There's nothing here about cross-selling mortgage leaflets, nothing about getting them to use our conveyancers.
We do on the contract, that's the other thing that's on that carbonated contract. There's a box there for solicitors quote, mortgage
It's
quotes.
the same on our fact find.
So it'll remind you to ask,
It does,
but is there any point of sale material that says this is why you should use our solicitors, this is why you should use our...
No, it's not.
Should there be?
Yeah.
I have actually always got it in my briefcase.
So we do have them. The business has them as a whole.
I don't know where they're in Weybridge, I don't know where they are.
Each branch should have been given some leaflets via PPL.
Yeah,
If you received them, My Home Move. If you haven't, if you
It's
haven't,
like
then I'll send it to the offices.
So My Home Move leaflet. Just quickly, guys, on the My Home Move leaflet, are they branded by Dr. Phillips?
No. Oh, are they?
The new ones are.
Oh, are they? I was going to say, we haven't.
If they're not, throw away the old ones and tell them to print you some Bond Dr. Phillips ones, which they will do. Because it's cheeky, then get
Yeah, we do, yeah.
present their brand, not yours. And where do you go for mortgages?
Continuing with some to use now.
So do we have anything that sells the virtues of them?
We have got some little A5 leaflets, I think that. Yeah.
So we need to get something.
We're waiting for a load of branded marketing from them, which
so
keep
mortgage,
chasing. And they keep
you need some mortgage POS, yeah? Because I know you can tell people because your contract says, but there's nothing like showing them, talking through a story, is there? Storybooking it. Right, fairly complete piece of kit.
We also, sorry, just whilst we're on that, with the iPads, we can take payment as well whilst we're out. We've got a little thing that plugs into the iPad.
What, for an EPC or something?
Yeah, I don't know whether that we share.
I think there's a discussion that needs to be taking place as to whether iPads should be something universal or not. Tablets should be universal or not. Because so until that decision is made, yes, of course, keep it in your. But it seems to me that if you scan a document, take their APC payment, take the photographs actually with an iPad these days, the cameras on it are pretty good, and get their house on the market literally there and then. There has to be some benefit of that, as long as you've got the signed contract. Yes, ladies, as long as you've got the signed contract, because otherwise you're breaking the Estate Agency Act.
Criminals.
Actually, just go straight to jail. Right, we're definitely okay with this, yeah? Once this is written, guys, it will come out to just make sure that clearly you're never ever going to do evaluation where you get all this kit out. This is just what you're taking on to be prepared.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know what it's like, you can just do the rapport bit and nothing else. And it just comes on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you might show them your info folder but not bother about your comps because the prices are given. Yeah, there's loads of different ways that you'd use this stuff. All this is doing is making sure that you are prepared for any and every eventuality and that you have the opportunity to show that you stand out of the crowd. So some of it I would always use were list of buyers, and I'd always use 2 lists if I was part of a network. If I knew that they were looking locally and it was in an area where I could help them, even if it wasn't an area that I could help them, if it's outside of your area, what is the harm in finding out and printing off a list of properties on Zoopla or Rightmove that could be of interest based on what they've described? So if they say, well, look, we're looking like for like and we're relocating to Manchester with my husband's job, if you took with you a list of all the properties from Manchester and had rung up the local newspaper and said, look, is there any chance you can post me one for a client, which they will do, by the way, and you turn up, positive, negative or neutral?
Positive.
So why wouldn't you do it? Because it is all about the conversion rate. 1% increase in conversion rate across the BOP empire, that's all of you, how much money do you think that is? Just a 1% conversion increase. If we added up all your conversion and just moved it up 1%.
We worked this out, didn't we?
Yeah, it was $1 million or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
No.
That would be great.
I am not charging enough money.
Was it 200,000?
How much?
200,000?
90k. 90k of pure profit. Because lifting it won't cost us any money, yeah? So every 1%. And at the moment, you're probably about 3 or 4% below the UK average. So all we've got to do is get to average to find 5 times 90k.
We're below the UK average.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, because it means we've got, it's good. If you're at 100%, my job is done. We'll never get to 100% either.
You'll make sure of that.
It's completely, well, I think it's impossible because not everyone can like everybody. Not everyone moves. Some people are going to choose your competitors. Some people are going to go for a fee that you guys just won't compete with, and rightly so. You're never going to get to 100%, but we need to be more than the 30-odd% that we currently are. Now there are some individuals in here much higher than that, and there are some individuals much lower than that. But 50% is where you want to aim. 60% is elite, top territory. 50% is pretty good. And I'm not talking about odd valuations that come on or someone wanting to say yes, but I didn't lose any. The net result is a valuation is a valuation and instruction is an instruction. Yeah, there aren't different grades of valuation. There are in the real world, but valuation is a valuation.
So the ones you go out to see that they might sell in 5 years' time, or they're just getting
still
an
count
idea,
as
that still
valuation.
counts as fine.
Well, eventually you should pick it up, shouldn't you, at some point?
Well, yeah.
Right, so that's your listers pack. There's a couple of bits the business has got to sort out. The CV listers, which came out the other day, so we need to get on with that because it didn't come up this morning. And possibly a wider discussion on tablets or something. Most businesses have actually not bothered with tablets because everyone's got a smartphone that does the job for them. But it has. So, that's your kit that you're going to put in your satchel, briefcase, whatever it is you take, your presenter. You've all got you got a presenter? Something to put all this stuff in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that personal to you guys, or is it a BOP thing? Or?
Yeah, it's personal. Yeah.
So you've got something like this that you take out.
Yeah, I've got a briefcase and then.
Yeah, I mean, with all that stuff, you might need something a bit bigger than these days, mightn't you? You might need a briefcase, particularly put the camera in. Right, so you're knocking on the door. Now, what happens? This is the real process. What happens?
The introduction.
So,
Don't
knock,
be
knock. Don't be late. Yeah. Do you have any process or protocol about parking your car?
Don't park on the driveway.
Park around the corner and walk.
Yeah.
Are your cars branded?
We don't tend to valuations.
Oh, right, so the branded cars are for
Yeah.
kids. So, don't park on their drive unless it's a must.
Unless, yeah.
I always think the fitter stuff before you knock on the door, so you stand at the front, have a look at the house, and they're probably peeking out the curtains, looking at you. It's all just for show, isn't it?
Don't arrive with your music player and then shades on and.
So let's just call that. Be aware they're probably peeking out the curtain. Yeah. So if you turn up, the old fan gets flipped out at the last second. Stereo gets turned off. Putting your tie on as you're walking up the drive. Yeah, it's not doesn't look good. So be aware they are watching. Knock on the door. They answer. Now what?
Shake hands. Tell me know where you're from.
Yourself.
Business card.
Well, let's put this in order. So first thing I presume you do say you'd introduce yourself. Yeah. Intro. You give them a card at that point?
Yeah.
Intro. Does everyone do that?
No.
Okay, well, let's discuss it then. So you just introduce, say, hi, it's X from BOP, and they'll show you in. Some people would say, intro, here's my business card. You would all give the business card at some point on the valuation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably just a personal thing, isn't it? We just leave that as a decision that, does it make any difference? I don't know of any science. There are some people that will tell you that giving it to them at the point you knock on the door it sets them at rest that you are who you say you are, and therefore there is a security benefit to the incumbent, which is why I think a lot of people would say,
We're in branded coats and that though, aren't we? So it's
yeah. I mean, look, it's a wafer thin thing. I would give my business card at the point and knock on the door. I think it's quite a personal thing as to whether you do or you don't. But science would suggest that you should, because it does validate you are who you say you are, and in this day and age, you could be anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susie Lamplugh. You know, that type of thing. You know, who knows? Who knows when that's next going to happen? Intro with biz card, and that's a personal decision. So I'll just put a question mark there so you can make up your own mind. So you're now in the hallway, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Take off your shoes.
Keep your shoes off.
Or
Yeah, take off.
your shoes.
Offer or do?
Do.
I always offer.
I would just-
And
I
everyone
would-
always do
I
it.
offer and take
I would
off
always
anyway.
just take them
It
off.
makes me do it.
And if they say don't worry, then
Yeah,
then put it back on. But
because it's always if you just take them off, if you automatically assume you have to take them off, quite often you'll get people say, "Oh no, please don't worry, you know, keep them on." In which case, you know, then you can make a decision based on how they're reacting with you. But I generally, as a rule, will always take my shoes off when I go into a property.
I've been instructing people and they said it was nothing that I'd done apart from I took my shoes off.
So you could have just taken them off and stood there. No, what they're saying is that you were polite. Yeah, just you just were respectful of my property. But we definitely should always offer. Yeah.
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 In some proper horrible places sometimes, you know.
You don't offer.
So I can't write the word always.
No.
It's in the middle of the kitchen floor.
Offer to, and if they say don't bother,
Take the view.
Because that's how the lie of the land.
offer to take shoes off. I'm with you. I think actually just presumptively, I'm just going to take my shoes off, but offer to or take them off, whichever is your thing. But if agents do go in, and I can tell you a hideous story where I didn't and walked around some like brand new property with sort of cream carpets, and sort of halfway through knew I had.
Oh no! What did you do? Did you own up?
Right.
Yeah, I just said, like, I'm really, really
Remember
sorry.
you on camera?
I did own up, yes. I said, like, I'm really, really sorry. But somebody had told me to take shoes off. And I thought in that split second, why did I ignore this fella? He takes on more houses than me, he's more experienced than me, he's got a better track record than me. Why did I ignore the expert?
Get
I
instruction?
No. No, I didn't.
Yeah. Did you have to clean the carpet?
Because after I left him with a problem, didn't I?
Mm.
Her, as it happens. I've also fallen down some stairs at the house, but that's also...
I've done that as well.
Oh no, have you?
Yeah, I did it in Weybridge.
I mean, I'm
It's
talking
hilarious.
proper, cartoon...
No, mine wasn't that bad.
Did you?
Yeah, and the woman just didn't, her face didn't move. I think she would be laughing, thinking, well, at least it's an icebreaker, and she was just like some stern... So it was just never mentioned, I just dusted myself down.
Oh, brilliant.
Bizarre. Didn't get that one either. Offered to take shoes off, what else? Actually, I did get that one.
Take your coat off if you're wearing one.
Yeah, I mean, most of us are in a suit jacket, or the ladies are being the equivalent, yeah. If you are in a coat, make sure it's appropriate. I have seen, I have seen these videos where people turn up in, bomber jackets, duffel coats, fur coats. It needs to be business attire, doesn't it? But anyway, I'll take the shoes off. So you're still in the hallway. The client may or may not have had your business card at this point. What happens now? What do you do? Because this is normally where this particular conversation gets a little bit awkward.
Well, I normally say, do you want to start by showing me around the property and then we can sit down and have a chat?
Do you want to give me the grand tour?
Yeah.
Right, in the affirmative, or ask them what they want to do.
I wouldn't ask them, I'd tell
I'd
them.
say, show me around.
Right, just remember, I know some of you weren't there, some of you were, but remember alpha behaviour is what they want. So you need to signpost to them exactly what's going to happen next. Where this normally splits is that some of you will want to do the tour, and some of you will want to sit down and have an opening 5 or 6 minute conversation. Are we in the same place, where you've got 2 different groups? So who would say, let's do the grand tour?
I will now.
Why? Why have you changed your mind? I didn't give you the reason.
That last we spoke a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so it did come out, did it? But for the benefit of those that weren't here then, so how many of you would have up until 2 weeks ago actually sat down and had a conversation?
Yeah.
If somebody says, oh, please come in, take a seat, I've got something I'd like to show you, for example, I would then, if they led me to that's what they wanted to happen, I would do that.
Yes, I mean if they get the signposting in before you, you have to.
You can't turn around and say
But
no.
if you're obviously, hi, pleased to meet you, thanks for calling us out. what I need to do is X, they're generally speaking going to take your cue, aren't they? Because
Yeah.
you're doing this all day long.
Yeah.
Right? This is
Yeah.
the first time they've probably done it in 20 years. Actually 30 years in Devon. So there's a very good chance that they'll just follow. If you do nothing, they'll take control. They have to because they're uncomfortable. So if you do nothing, you sat there, you take your shoes off and you're not talking to them, you're not making any eye contact, they'll say, well look, I thought we'd sit down first, and then you're buggered because you have to follow their pattern. But it is about you taking control if you can. So the first thing is the signpost, as we did. How much of the appointment did we do 2 weeks ago? Maybe I'm getting old, I can't remember, but we obviously did this bit.
Yeah, and then we talked about starting upstairs or downstairs. And
Okay,
you
so we'll do it in a
said-
minute, everybody
yeah,
else,
yeah.
and then we'll do some of the other stuff. So you've got a signpost, yeah? Right, and you probably should have confirmed this with your, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look around, measure up, blah, blah, blah. But signpost, not to sit down. Out of interest for those that weren't there 2 weeks ago, how many of you would have now said, actually, can I sit down, please, and have a quick chat? Doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong, I'm just interested. So, would have chatted, and the rest would have gone round and done it in the order anyway, yeah? Why would you have chatted first?
Just build up a bit of rapport initially.
And why would you have chatted first?
Reaffirm the prequel.
So what, sorry?
Reaffirm the prequel that I'd already done.
Meaning?
Well, I always pre-call the appointment before I go out, just to ask more questions, and just basically suss out the appointment before I get there, and build a bit more rapport on the phone before I even meet them, and then obviously reaffirm that when I get there, and then go and then do the measure up with them.
So you'd sit down and just check that the facts you've got are
Yeah.
the facts, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, which I am not saying you should change, but I am saying there is some evidence to suggest that that might marginally put you at a disadvantage to doing it the other way around. And the marginal disadvantage is the following, that one, you are likely to have longer appointments. Oh, is there a heater in it? Is there a plug in there that can just be pulled out? It's really warm in
It's not
There is a socket.
That one's on. They're just behind you there, mate.
there. Sorry, so for those that would normally sit down, or at least have a further conversation, the science and the psychology of selling says that you have the following problems. One, your appointments are likely to take a little bit longer, which means you become less effective because it means you've got less time in the day to do other things and you become rushed, and therefore that might affect your conversion rate. The second thing that it would suggest is that you have a problem that you may accidentally get caught into a pitch before you've actually had a chance to. So the client might say, what are your fees? And they ambush you, which is not going to happen when you're walking around the property. The third thing is you may accidentally end up presenting in part or in full twice and contradict yourself between the first presentation and the second presentation. And the single biggest reason people instruct you is what? They trust you. So if you accidentally say something in the first part that's an exaggeration or an untruth, God forbid, and you forget, the problem with exaggerating a line, you have to remember what you said, and you contradict yourself in the second part of the conversation, the client will distrust you, and therefore your chances of getting it on have all but evaporated or certainly been seriously diminished. If you signpost and say, right, we'd like to have a look around the property, the science says start upstairs first, do downstairs, go out, come back in and present. If it happens to be more than one story, start at the top, come down, do the garden, come in, because that's the most efficient way of doing it, with them present. So it suggests that you should go around with them, because that's your rapport building while you're going around. You can comment nice things about the things that you've seen, as long as you're not sycophantic. If you walk in and it's orange and purple and you say, wow, what great colours, I mean, they're going to know you're a knob, yeah? So they're going to definitely understand that you've made that up. And that you're actually, they might even think you're pulling their plonkers, they might think you're taking a mick. But if you, I know there might be a photograph of a particular kid playing football with a particular school, or a riding course, or something that you've got an affinity to, or scout group, or whatever that you can talk about, or there might genuinely be a lovely fireplace or a nice brand new bathroom that you can build rapport about. So you do that as you go around, so you want them with you. You definitely want to measure up. Who doesn't measure up on the valuation?
I hadn't been until
Again, I hadn't been,
Yeah,
but
never used to.
The people that weren't there, would you measure up on a valuation?
No.
You wouldn't? Would you measure up on a valuation?
Yeah.
Definitely. Is there anyone else that wasn't there? Would you measure up on a valuation?
Well, I didn't do, but no.
Sorry?
I don't do them yet, but
Okay,
In training.
Okay, well, good, because you could just go from day one, can't you? Do it right. So let's just do the bit about going around. So the advantage of doing it the way around that we've said, which is to signpost, get them to show you around, is you get to rapport build while you're going around. You're not going to get pulled into a conversation that you don't want. You're not presenting, you're talking about the house, which is something that's far more exciting to them. Your appointment will be a little bit quicker and you're less likely to contradict yourself. Yeah, that's what the science says. In relation to measuring up, you are statistically going to have a 0.5% better conversion rate if you measure up than if you don't. The reasoning behind that is very simply that, one, in the eyes of the vendor, you have probably worked harder for the instruction than the person who's just literally walked around, because that's the alternative. Secondly, you are easier to instruct. Their perception is that I can instruct the person who measured up or the person who didn't, but the person who didn't has to come back and do that process. The person who did doesn't. Albeit I know that we've got to go back to the house anyway, but the client doesn't know that. And when they ring up and you say, well, I've got to come back to the house, they don't say, well, I've changed my mind. Yeah, the job's done, the deal's done. And thirdly, and most importantly in my opinion, it's just part of the theatre. So the client feels that the engagement was far more, I don't know, it just was more, you know, the agent worked a bit, thorough, proper. And another reason is a lot of estate agents have learnt to use the following line, which is, in order for me to give you a professional and accurate advice and an opinion, I need to measure up the property so I can compare it properly with others. Which obviously then means that anyone who hasn't measured up, the vendor might question the professionalism or accuracy of that valuation. And therefore measuring is a prerequisite to. It's only 0.5%, guys, but 0.5% is worth how much? £45,000. And it costs the business nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing.
Can I please ask if people that do measure up just measure up, or do they do anything else? Like, do you do draft details, or you just literally take the measurements of the rooms?
We stopped doing it because we were doing full sets of details, weren't we, before?
Yeah, we just measure there.
Yeah, we've stopped completely and we're just
how
measuring.
funny. Whereas now I do what you do now.
Oh, you do? See, we took away from it by doing, because I mean it takes up a lot of time to do full sets of details. And then someone just turns around and says, I've decided not to sell.
I just do the window card thing we talked about.
So you do the window card? Oh, we would do like every room.
Oh god.
You know, radiator plug, that kind of thing.
Still.
It's just off now.
Yeah.
Can't open windows,
No, you can't, I think. I think on that, it's part of the theatre. As long as you look as interested as you possibly can, and as long as it's more than just sort of hands in pockets looking around, I think the theatre aspect's covered. I think the fact that you've got the details, if you want to go to the... I used to take notes. And actually it was to slow me down. It was actually deliberately just to slow me down. I would take... And it was shorthand, you know, so it'd be sealed unit double glazing. I didn't write sealed unit double glazing, it would be SUDG. I mean, gas radiator centre heating, GRCH and all that sort of stuff, I'm sure you write it. But I did it just to slow myself down, to keep thinking, well, you know, I don't know, I just did it to slow myself down.
Because you can rush when you've been in a lot, can't you?
Well, you want thinking time. They might have said something and you might think, well, how can I use that later? They're talking to you, aren't they? So you're taking notes, but it's just part of the theatre. But the alternative, if you think about it, if you're not taking any notes and you're not measuring up, just put yourself in the vendor's shoes of how that looks. Because it could come across as a bit disinterested. It's certainly not alpha behaviour. It's the behaviour of someone who is not expecting to get a contract at the end of this process. And as we've established, people like alpha behaviour, as long as it doesn't trip into arrogance. Yeah, clearly if you walk in and say, look, clearly we all know you're going to instruct me.
Check out my jacket.
Yeah, you haven't got a choice. I can go through the rigmarole, or we can just sign up. But if you do that, I think you're probably going to get turfed out pretty quick, yeah? But if you assume and go on the assumptive all the time in a positive and professional and slightly forceful way without being arrogant, you will win more business than you lose. If you don't measure up and or take notes, there is a potential that you're sending a signal that you do not expect to get this signed up at the end of the day, and therefore you change the client's psychology. So that's why you should always measure up. Yeah. So signpost, top floor first, downstairs, maybe bungalows around here. Downstairs, garden, and always measure. Certainly one of the things that I know will be checked on the mystery shop stuff will be measuring. It's really, really important because it's 0.5% for nothing. Just nothing, there's no cost.
Is there any figures on the top floor downstairs then?
No.
There isn't, fine.
No.
So that's personal, sort of, yeah, fine.
Well, I think the only argument would be that it's quicker.
I think it flows better because if you've got to go downstairs and
To
upstairs
me,
and
it just
downstairs
feels,
again
I did it the other
outside.
day and it just felt really
Yeah, it
weird
does,
going up
yeah.
and looking at, oh, that's a bedroom. Yeah.
That's just because it's different from what you've done.
Yeah, it's probably just changed.
You probably don't get invited to many bedrooms. And with your good lady about to give birth.
Yeah.
So.
You're never be invited to the bedroom again.
No. Second bedroom.
Yeah.
It's just that it's quicker. So I would suggest if you persevere, it'll feel natural to you very quick. I would feel very uncomfortable, because the only other alternative I could think of was to start from the front door. And I would personally find that very uncomfortable. But
So you would say, can we start upstairs please, yeah? As you walk in.
I would tell them that.
We're going upstairs.
Come with me!
Upstairs now, look.
You're not upstairs.
No, I would say, look, I'm going to be measuring up, I'm going to start at the top first, work my way down, go to the garden, and I'd like to sit down and we'll have a conversation about everything you're going to need to know. Is that okay with you? Obviously, I'll get their permission.
Do you go around once or twice?
Once. I do, because they come with me.
I don't know, I go around again by myself.
Personal decision.
Gives you time to think.
Yeah, I do that in
Get
the
all
garden.
my comps ready.
I normally say I'll go and have a look in the garden, and that's when I get my time to think. But yeah, look, personal. But it just means that you're extending your time. And by the time we finish, you're going to be doing 15 to 20 valuations a week. You ain't going to have time to do what you just said. But it's a personal decision. I can't give you any reason as to why it may or may not. I can with measuring up, and I can with whether you present or not in that first 5 minutes, or whether you go round, because I can give you statistics that prove the conversion rate would be better if you did it another way. But I don't think anything else makes any difference. Or I haven't got any. I've got an opinion, but I haven't got I can't give you any reason to or not to do it. So we're now going to sit down and present, yeah? We followed this route, and we're now right at the point that really matters. Sticky palms. What happens? How do we set the scene? How do we do this? How do we deliver it? What do we do?
I always try and sit them down, like a dining table or something like that.
Is everybody in tune with that response?
There's nothing worse than sitting on the sofa and like sinking in.
Yeah, sinking back, your knees are up by your ears, and you're like.
So we would try and sit in a place that's
dining.
It's
Yeah.
easier to present when you've got, if there's two owners, eye contact, because sometimes the sitting room arrangements, it's difficult to keep eye contact with two people, like one side.
Obviously, they're either side of it. It's like you're playing tennis.
Yeah.
So you try and sit at a workspace as such, like a table. Yeah.
So do you say, shall we sit at the dining
I'll say yes.
table?
Do you want to go? Should we go sit on the dining room table?
Oh, right. Okay.
I'll like suggest
Right,
it
okay.
basically.
What do you say? Look, if possible, I'd prefer somewhere where I can get the stuff
Otherwise,
out.
you stood there awkwardly with your briefcase. Like,
Well, also sometimes you want to show them visual aids. If they are on the other side of the lounge to you, how the hell do you do that?
Chuck it.
So I think it's in the signposting. It'd be great if we could. What I'm going to do is I'd like to go around. I'm going to measure up and start upstairs first. And if possible, if you've got somewhere we can sit down where I can go through some stuff and show you some stuff, they'll pick the appropriate place. But it's just a question of appropriateness. If you are in the lounge, because generally speaking, it's because you haven't shown alpha behaviour. Because what's happened is you've not signposted, so they pick the venue.
Yeah, I always offer them to see where would you like to sit.
And therefore they'll choose. And they'll say, well, the lounge is
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got this problem where I might be sat this far away from you.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to show me the comps? Yeah, are you going to hold them up? Or? But tiny little things, guys, because as I said to you a couple of weeks ago, there is no one big magical solution, because if there was, I could just send it to you. You could do it, and great, problem solved. It's all about little tiny incremental things. There's 0.25% here, 0.5% there, 0.1% here, 0.25% there, that'll make the difference to move us forward. And that's all we need to do is move forward. And then when we've moved forward, we move forward again. When we move forward, we move forward again. And all that happens is the bit that everyone else gets shrinks. They earn less money, they drive bad cars, they get divorced. It doesn't work for them. Which is good for us. Yeah, we like their lives caving in. Sit down in an appropriate workspace as best as possible, yeah? And we do what?
I personally tell them, I say, I wrote down a price, I wouldn't mind if you can explain to you how I've come to that figure.
So we're now going to pitch, in effect.
And then start with, you show them a low comp and dash their hopes.
So you're delivering the price before you've pitched the service?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do personally.
I'd go with the service first. Because I think you've got your attention.
Don't you try and get the price out of them sometimes? Because sometimes it comes
Yeah,
off
ask
the
them
top
what,
quite quick.
if they've got a price
Yeah.
in mind, yeah.
Well, let's explore a load of that stuff. Psychology of selling will tell you that if you try and get from the vendor the price, they are thinking you don't have Scooby. That's what they're thinking.
A lot of them say they've got no idea. They're quite honest and say, I really don't know.
But if
But
they
then you give them the price, they go, yeah, I bought it.
Just to interject on that, the same people when you give them your price choose to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah? So they do have an idea, they just don't want to give it to you. So, and who is the expert in the room?
We are.
We have to display that. Now, don't get me wrong, you can lead them to situations that might get that information out, but to directly ask a vendor, can I understand what do you think it's worth, in my opinion, is a complete no-go zone.
But surely if you've given them the comps and you're talking them through the comps, and I don't know if it's a 3-bed detached and you're showing them a 3-bed detached and all these others which is sold or whatever, and you're going through that, you are, and then you sort of ask them in conversation, you're not sort of talking out the back of your bum, are you really? Because you've got your evidence to show. Yeah.
If you ask them before you have agreed an opinion, and I'm going to give you a process in a minute, which is probably the crux of what we're going to do today, other than getting the stuff down for the document. I think you can get to the price in a way that they think you've professionally giving it to them, and you can never ever be in dispute with them.
Right.
Yeah. So, but what I would say is outright asking a client, with or without the stuff, physically just sort of saying, well, what do you think, without following a slightly different process, is indicating for some people a negative situation towards getting instructed, because they'll think you're asking them because you don't know. Others won't have spotted you've done it, and therefore it's neutral but I don't think it can ever be positive.
No.
I can't see a positive side to asking somebody what they think it's worth. It's a big no-no to ask. The other thing that we said was about if you're presenting your price and your fee, I think there is a negative connotation there that they might switch off to your actual presentation. So that's basically sex without foreplay. You've got to get them interested in what you're doing. Yeah. Because you're well, I'm giving you that analogy deliberately to say, look, I know you want to get straight to the point, but you're now they're not interested. What if they don't like your price or fee? They're not hearing this BOP story, they're not hearing the multiple offices, they're not hearing your success rate, they're not seeing your list of buyers, they're just, get out. Won't say that because they're polite people. So I would definitely present unless anyone wants to challenge that, because I think most people I picked up would probably present the story first.
I would present the stories first.
Price, then the story, then the fee at the end.
Okay, so but most people here would probably present the story.
Yeah, I do similar to Ollie actually. Yeah, I go through the comps first and say this is how I've arrived at. I've got a figure in mind. This is how I arrived at it. Go through all the
price
comps.
first.
I think if you start doing your presentation, there's more likely for them to ask about the fee first.
I thought you told us price first once, because maybe I've misunderstood. I thought you said that people would be like, not listening to the presentation, as in just tell me the price, just tell me the price.
That's the time, book the time, get the appointment booked quickly, I think is what you mean.
I think that was Adam Walker.
Oh, was it?
Well, I mean, this is probably very similar to Adam Walker. It shouldn't be that far different.
He said there's 2 hills you need to get over, so the price, then the fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference I've got is I don't see them as hills.
Mm.
If the client's asking the price and asking the fee, I think they're actually saying to you, I want to buy your product as long as you get these 2 next bits right. Happy days as far as I'm concerned, but I don't see it as a hill. I don't see it as a point to be. You are the expert, and you need to be an expert. If you see it as a hill, there's a reason to be nervous. It's not a hill. I also don't believe that people buy on price, generally. If you went in there and said 25% and did everything else perfectly, you ain't going to get it. But as long as the price point's not ridiculous in comparison to everybody else, people will buy on trust. And who's going to get the best outcome? But most of you would present the story, if you like, first. So you'd give them a little bit of an intro, you'd start to talk. I think the price and the presentation is actually the same thing. It's the fee bit that needs to be left long alone, yeah? So I personally think that you would start with the price, and as you're talking about price, the presentation naturally happens.
Have you ever found though, once you're doing your presentation and telling them all the great benefits of BOP, then they ask what's that going to charge, what's that going to cost them?
Yeah.
Then you haven't even gotten to the price, you're already talking about the fee.
But it's a massive buying signal. No one asks your fee if they're not interested in buying your service.
Right.
So I would then have the fee conversation and then say, right, we agreed on the fee, now let's agree on a strategy price-wise.
Because they're motivated to sell.
Yeah, yeah. I think anyone who asks you the fee, I don't know why estate agents fear that moment in life, because it is the moment in life that you should be trying to get the client to ask, what's your fee? Because it is the moment that they're saying, well, if we get this bit right, you're probably going to get my house. But I think it is price stroke presentation, as in this is a personality thing. Because you've got to bear in mind that the brand has opened up the opportunity, but it's your personality that will probably determine the outcome. Yeah? So you have to be you, not anyone else. Don't ever try and be anyone else, just be you. But if there are little processes and little systems and little tricks of the trade that you can use along the way, then clearly it would be silly, like I did with the shoes, not to listen to the experts, because they've been it, done it, seen it, and whether you like it or not, earned a load more money than you. So you might as well plug into them because they know what they're doing. Yeah. But the price and presentation. Now here's the key thing: how do you deliver the price? How do you get to a price in a manner that can't possibly be conflictual? How do you do it now?
I normally go with what we've got on the market. So I'll pick something in slightly not as good an area that's maybe not quite as good as that house and say, well, there's your bottom figure. And then I'll go in with something that's in a better area that's slightly better. And then I'll say, I think, you're somewhere in between those two figures, and then that's when I'd say my price.
So you must have all been trained by Adam Walker then, yeah? Because that is Adam Walker's.
Oh right, no,
that's what Mark told us. He said, give him a lower one and dash their hopes. So then give him a higher one and say, you can't possibly compete with this. So for those reasons, you have to be this.
Okay, so I'm with that 100%, other than the fact I would just make some slight deviant to it. In the fact that I would actually now at this point completely flip it and get them presenting back to me to slightly contradict the point that I said never ask them the price. So, but what I want you to do in very small groups, just very, very quickly, is, just groups of 4 or 5 or whatever, however it works out, is just basically role play yourselves, amongst yourselves. I'm not going to be, but just actually do that price point. Pretend that these are comps. How many are you going to use? Is it top, middle and bottom? What sentences do you use? And then we'll very quickly try and put that into using a very mechanical sales process that means, in my opinion, you can never lose an instruction over a price. Because I'll be honest with you, I've never ever, well, apart from in the early days, I've never told them end of the price. Not once. They think I have on every single occasion. But I've never actually told them my opinion on price, and I'll show you how I do it, which is a version of what you've just both been saying. Very close to it. So just in your little groups, I know it's a bit awkward because we've got rooms a bit too small, but just take 10 minutes out.
You're on camera.
I always say, well,
obviously I've got something to I'm still but we have experts here. How do you both
I do very yeah, I do take quite myself, so I don't know how your age is better. Your age is better.
I would always add, I know we usually have it on our information before we go out there, but I always say, so if you had any, if you thought about going to the market before, if you had any valuations in the past, and then they might say, oh, I had someone tell me years ago, and most of the time they'll tell you. I find they might say what that
you can open it up without asking the question. How long is it? So what have you done about marketing before? Well, I told you I didn't say quite
You just get a backstory, like, as if it's 5 years ago, you never really thought about it. We would have already done the information of what we worth when they bought it. Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know if it was on the market, but we already know the answer, but they might tell you.
we don't know if they've had valuations in the last couple of years, and they might tell you what price. So they're slightly close to it, so we always go for that first. And if they say, haven't had anything, we generally go with, well, here's my best price. I usually do, depending on the area, I do one to the side. I should do a really good comment. Depending on the area, if it's like an estate, you can use it just to buy. Even if it's 6 months road, you just reel a load off and just say, that would be what I'm doing to it, that one was this one, obviously the extra bedroom conversion, but this one had a garage and a large garden, so I really expect to achieve, and I don't go like 265,
I'd say you're in the region of this one here. So you're in the region of this one.
Look at that. But you get like a because you both have done it a lot. Yeah, we've done a few, but it's not really, yours can you take that through and just so I want to know how you come straight by price.
I think
I've always done the reasons why they show the body so I've always done, we have 8 offices, we advertise on local media, the newspapers, we're on Super and Rightmove, blah blah. We've got a big database, but on America,
Don't get me wrong, I just said it in and it took about 2 seconds. I would straight it out. Sometimes I might even have some brochures of our own as well. It could be a completely different area. I'd still bring a brochure and say this is the best I'm really so they see how good the pictures are and everything. And they're really good.
tell you the price.
Always try and keep it very close neighbour.
Open-ended questions. They're probably just like.
Always try and make sure that.
When they keep saying, I'm trying to get them to say most of the time they'll discuss it.
Right guys, just very quickly. Do we have anybody brave enough to actually do this on camera? Present the price. Is there a brave person in here that wants to do it? Otherwise we will put it to the vote. Which means you're going to be doing it anyway, Matt, I think. Do we have a brave person? Or lady? Ladies are people, actually. We're not going to do it if there isn't, but if there is, we can do it, yeah? No? There is not anybody brave enough in the whole of the bond.
What do you have to do?
Just present the price to me.
No.
Right, anyway, we are at the deliver the price. Yeah? Webber's would have done something, I'm sure.
I'll do it.
Yeah, Matt will do it.
Sorry?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, mate. Right, so let's just. I knew that would work. The manipulative approach of an ex-estate agent. Right, so we will imagine that we've done all this. We've done all the bit up to it. We are sat down.
Yep.
And you are going to tell me what my house is worth.
Okay.
Okay. And all I'm interested in, following your discussions and your natural style anyway.
Yeah.
You can use whatever visual aids you wish, and I'll understand what they are. I appreciate they're all going to be fake. I appreciate that they're not going to be what you're expecting them to be. So that if you just say this is a set of details, this is a contract, this is a whatever, that's fine. I'll live with that.
Right.
let's just say my house is worth, what should we say it's worth? 300,000?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say 350, but...
Okay, well. That's just his strategy.
Yeah.
420. You're going to get across to me the price. So in order for you to prepare for 5 minutes, if everyone else just wants to take a 5-minute comfort break, use the facilities, go and have your cigarettes if you smoke, get some fresh air, you can prepare. Back here in 10 minutes, and he's going to do this in front of all of you and the camera. Go and have your cigarettes, walk around, get some fresh air. Is it?
Things you can do it when I say that. So what, you know, you'll be fine.
You're pretty confident, listen.
Yeah, mate, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but you also do the draft from that
Yeah, I really think
Alright?
yeah, not bad. Ages. I would just do 7 days a week. Local network. About the office.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
Oh, you alright?
Yeah, not bad, man.
I'm happy with that.
There's that many
And I just say,
Then
just say, do you have any questions?
So you know, like you were saying, like it's never said given a price, but then I've always, when I've been talking around, and obviously I've always done that, had a lower one and a higher one.
Just quickly, do you want to turn the camera off and just move it so we can... How'd you get on?
Yeah, it's okay.
What did you say?
I will be as reasonable as is needed. Oh, right, we're on.
Okay, well, thanks again for asking me out to value your property. I appreciate you having us out. Lovely property. Yeah, so let me start by telling you a bit about ourselves, really, before I go into anything else. So Bonnets Phillips, we're a network of 8 offices, okay, across North Cornwall, North Devon. All right, all open 7 days a week, so you can call us on a Sunday, which specifically in Bude, we're the only agent that are open on a Sunday. So we can do viewings, you can ring us up and have a chat with us, you can pop in and see us, have a coffee with us. Alright, so we're always there to speak to you.
Yeah, it's useful,
Okay.
yeah. I don't work on Sunday, so...
I mean, typically, Bude obviously a tourist area, people are coming down for the weekends, your Saturdays and your Sundays, we're open, the other agents are, so that's a big point for us. Alright. Also with the 8 offices, we're all connected, so we use one large database. Okay, so I've got my sort of list of buyers, which is here for you. Okay, these are all people that, in my opinion, are going to fit in with your budget, or your price rather, which we'll go into in a minute. Okay, but also, here is a list of our other offices. Okay, so that's all their sort of hot buyers, as we call them, people that are ready to go. Alright, so you'll have access to all of this if and when you come with us.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Alright, okay. One of my favourite stats is on average we're getting 97% of the asking price at the moment. We're in a really good market, prices are really healthy, okay, so it's definite seller's market, so you're looking to sell at the right time.
Good, sounds
okay,
encouraging.
and hopefully with the right company. Alright?
I'm sure.
So let me show you a bit about our sort of team in the office. So you've got myself, who's senior negotiator, alright? All the offices are run by partners, so there's an interest in each office, and they're all always there. So if you ever need to speak to a partner, that's fine, okay? They're always somebody there running the offices. We've got a dedicated sales progression team, okay? Which, when we get you to the point of sale, they're going to look after you properly. They're literally on the case every day. All right?
Chasing the sale.
Chasing the sale, making sure it progresses through. You have a higher chance of successfully making a sale, basically, is what it boils down to. All right? But essentially, anybody on this sheet here, you could phone up and they'll be able to help you. They'll be able to assist you if I'm not in the office. That's obviously that's my business card with my mobile number.
Excellent, thank
or
you.
if you need. I personally work Sundays, so you can pop in and have a chat with me if you want.
Good, I shall make a point of it.
Okay. We're on all the major property portals as well as our own website. Okay. One of the big benefits is we're still on Zoopla. Okay. A lot of agents recently had to drop Zoopla on the market, which has flopped. Okay. We're still on that. That's the most popular website in the southeast. Okay, which is where we're trying to attract a lot of our buyers. We do have a big number of people coming from the southeast, so we can reach them
But you're on Rightmove.
We're on Rightmove as well, which is I think the biggest property portal in the UK.
Yeah. So you're on both.
We're on both.
I've
Yeah.
not heard of this other one. What's it called?
On the market, apparently.
Not heard of it. No.
Okay. So that's a bit about ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm sure you wanted to know the price. Okay. What I've done is I've prepared some comparables for you of other properties that I've actually sold on your street. Okay. So at the lower end, we've got a 2-bedroom one which sold down there. I think it's five doors down from you. I think.
Which one?
26. Is it?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
You find that, yeah.
So that sold. That made 265.
265, yeah.
Okay, it was on at 279, right? That did need a lot of work doing to it.
It was a 2-bed, yeah.
That was a 2-bed.
Right.
Okay, so but that did need a lot of work, as I say.
Yep.
All right, but that sold quite quickly. All right. On the flip side, you got the one down the other end of the street. Okay, number 48.
I saw that one. Yeah, I don't know the people, but yeah.
Yeah. So they'd done the loft conversion.
Right.
And they'd sort of done it out completely, new kitchen. You know, sort of tip top really. That was lovely. That made 330, and it was on at 330. All right.
Right. Okay. That's bigger than mine, though, isn't it?
That is bigger than yours.
Right.
Okay. On the flip side, and this is the region I think we're going to be looking at. All right. There's the one on the opposite side of the street. Okay, which is a 3-bed, as yours is. Okay, similar condition. I actually think you're on the better side of the road. You got the south-facing garden. But that's the sort of ballpark I think you're in, and they were on at 295.
Right.
Okay. So I mean, I think that's the sort of region you're looking in. I think yours is more desirable. I think yours will sell better.
So what price would you put mine on for?
I would probably put it on in the region of 300. Because the market's so strong at the moment, it probably is worth trying a little bit more. Maybe try the market at 309. I think, you know, we'll stay in touch. If for the first couple of weeks, if we don't get much interest, I think we'll have a chat and think, you know, it probably is the 300 mark. We'll drop it down a bit, but if we can get you a bit more money and, you know, cover your fees, etc. Sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
All right.
So you put it on at 309 maximum.
I'd go at 309, 950. Yeah.
And what do you think I'm going to get for it in the real world?
I wouldn't advise you taking less than 300.
So 300 minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So the best way we're finding for selling stuff at the moment is not market an elevated price, get it on at a sensible asking price, and we aim to hold out for that asking price if possible. But as I say, we may have to have a chat at that elevated figure. But I think the market's strong enough to sort of test it.
Excellent. Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, well I've got a couple of other agents coming around, but the price is roughly where I thought.
Yeah.
I was expecting probably a little bit less than that, but 309 as an asking price seems about right, so I'll be back in touch.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, obviously whilst I'm here, I mean, fee-wise, I'm sure you might be interested in the fee.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, okay. As I said, you will get value for money for us. If we don't sell it, don't pay us anything. All right. We're 1.5% plus the VAT.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I haven't spoken to others yet, so I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, it sounds about normal.
Yeah, that's the going rate, I think. And as I say, you will get good value for money for us. You know, if you are displeased, let me know. But I'm sure you won't be.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
What do you mean by displeased? Oh, cut. Anyway, we went on to the. I'll leave it on because we'll carry on just to carry on talking. So let me. If you guys want to come back to your chair, I'll stand over there with the windows. It's definitely going to be cooler. So well done, by the way. Big round of applause for that. So the purpose of that really was just to sort of get a few observations, if you like. And Matt was the brave guy that put himself in there, did quite a good job, I thought.
Yeah,
you know, I couldn't, it was all controlled, the timing was good. However, what I want you to do is open up your mind to a completely different method of delivering. Yeah? So, for example, pick out some of the things that Matt picked on to differentiate BOP from somebody else. Zoopla. And how did he tell me about Zoopla? Yeah, so well, not particularly, but he told me that it was a way of catching buyers from London, I think. Yeah. Or certainly there was a
And it
meeting.
was the most expensive, did you mention that? No?
He said it was the most popular in the South East.
Did you take stats like that?
No, I wouldn't. No.
So if we were going to sell the benefit of Zoopla differently to what was just sold, let me give you an example of how I might have sold Zoopla if I was in your shoes. Yeah. So I might have said to the client, have you thought about buyers from out of the area? And I'd zip it. Remember the 80-20 rule? So if I said to you, have you thought about buyers throughout the area for your property? Tell me the sort of responses I'm going to get from you.
Yes.
Yeah, and do you think it's possible that we'd sell your house to a buyer from out the area?
Oh yes, I heard there's loads of money in London. You know,
Okay.
it's cheap down.
Are you aware of Zoopla as a website?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of its particular advantage?
Well, I'm not going to say no, aren't they?
The client might say yes or no. The point is what I would be doing is having a conversation with them. So eventually leading to the point where hopefully they would say to me, oh Christ, I'm really interested in London buyers, yeah, that's part of my plan. So something along the lines of, you know, Zoopla is really, really big in London. Can you see that that would be of benefit to you? Yeah? Because what we had was a list of things that might differentiate BOF, but not the benefit to me as the consumer. What you need to do is twist what you've got, because opening Sundays and having Zoopla, which are the two things I picked out, are clearly in my advantage. But how do you do it in a way that you get me to understand the benefit? So if you say to me, are you aware of Zoopla, or have you thought about buyers from out of the area, or have you thought what's the best way?
Open questions.
Yeah, opening questioning. So if I said to you, have you thought about the best way of attracting buyers, or you know, another question, are you aware of what percentage of properties in this part of Devon sell to out of area buyers? You're going to give me one of three responses. Yes, I was aware. No, what percentage is it? And I don't know what it is, but I think it's probably about 2 in 5, I'm told.
So it's 60%.
So more than 2 in 5.
Yeah.
So
That's
what I'm saying is on the 80-20 rule is get me talking. Yeah? And you want me on the grounds of believing that my best chances are to look at an out-of-area buyer as well as a local buyer, yeah? Because out-of-area buyers, you've got the solution, it's called Zoopla. Yeah? Telling me all about Zoopla is great. It's better than not mentioning it at all. But if you can get me to truly buy in by things like, are you aware, or would you be interested, or do you think it would be in your benefit to attract buyers from London to Devon to buy your property? The client's going to say something like, yes, how do we do that? Or there's going to be some sort of conversation that goes, well, we've invested in the Zoopla marketing because Zoopla brings buyers from London. It's the best vehicle. I'm sure you're aware it's the best vehicle, and if you nod, it's very, very hard for them not to nod back. All of a sudden they're bought into, you've ruled out any agent that isn't on Zoopla if they bought that story. They might not have done, but if they have, you've ruled out some of your opposition. Yeah? Sundays, you were telling me that the convenience of Sundays. If you said to, you could put that round another way, you're obviously aware that this is you used it as a holiday community or something, I don't know what you said. You're obviously aware that we're a big holiday community with out-of-area buyers. We've discussed about Zoopla. They're generally here at weekends. Yeah? We're open on Sundays. Can you see the advantage that gives you, Mr. White? Now, if he asks me that, Mr. White's going to say yes and start a discussion, or just simply yes. As soon as I say it's an advantage, I believe it 100%. If he tells me it's an advantage, I've got a decision to make when he's gone whether I believed it or not. If you get me to say it, my psychology cannot say yes and then think no. And when I say me, I mean the human race. Women, not sure. Yeah, I think yes means no, no means yes, I have no idea. But I'm joking, of course. So the point being is that if you bring in your individual identifiers as to the advantage of using BOP, but get me talking about it rather than telling me about it, yeah? Because we talked about the 80-20 rule, but in that conversation, you didn't ask me a single question. So I didn't speak much, if you can play the tape back. Yeah? And I was wanting to speak, I was happy to speak, even though it was a false environment. And we know that if we can get 80-20 working in our favour, we're going to have a much, much sexier interaction than the fact that the client's going to think, wow, what a great person. So what you want to do is list all the benefits, which we're going to do now, the true benefits of BOP. Sundays is clearly one, Zoopla is another, your network is one, your combined experience. You showed me your, it was probably a list of CV, was it, or it was a team CV or something. Yeah. You know, if you just said to me, are you looking, what do you think the benefits of having a really big network of offices around? Zip it. What am I going to say?
give an answer, haven't you? We could start the dialogue back up again.
What's the worst I could say? Well, actually, I haven't thought about it, or I don't see any benefit. Likely?
No.
Possible, but not likely. Yeah? If I said, well, I don't see any benefit, just so well, it's, we have got the network there, and I would brush on to the next thing until you get them talking. But generally speaking, they're going to say, well, I presume, and you can say, well, the benefit is, I've got this list of buyers from Bude, yeah? But unlike some of my smaller competitors, I've got this list of buyers from outside of Bude. You can visually, so you're now having an interaction with me rather than talking at me, I suppose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So open questions was what you were saying. Get me talking, but ask me open questions that get me onto your territory. What you really want me to say is that I understand, you know, this out of area, but you want me sort of talking about this out of area buyer and why people come into Bude on a Sunday. It'd be silly if we missed out on them, and why the experience of your business is better than anyone else's. Because if I say it, I believe it. It's that simple. It's that simple.
What you're also doing is funnel selling them into the answer you want them to give.
Funnel selling, yes. I mean, you're basically, you're conditioning them to say yes. You're conditioning them to agreeing with you. And the most powerful way to do that through body language is just nod. Yeah? So if you say to them, so I'm sure you can appreciate that to get the best price for this, we've got to attract local buyers and London buyers. Can't help it. It's physically impossible. If I nod at you, you have to nod back. Yeah? If you look someone straight in the eye and nod at them, I tell you, it's very difficult not to nod back. Psychologically, it's just positive stuff. I agree. Let me tell you how we've got London covered for you. Yeah? Doesn't work with women, mate. It doesn't work if they nod and mean no. Definitely with you, they mean no. He's an Ascot. He's an Ascot boy. If you can get them in the place where they're saying, well, yeah, I definitely want access to London buyers. So I'm really glad that you said that, because we've created part of our packages specifically designed to maximise the chance of a London buyer. It's called Zoopla. Here it is. This is what it does, this is where it attracts its buyers from. Can you see, Mr. White, how that's going to benefit us in getting you the best possible price to the best possible buyer? Yes, great. If he now truly nods and believes that Zoopla is the right strategy, you've just bummed out half of Devon. Yeah, potentially. Yeah? That's not to say when they come round they unpick it all. Because if they're skilled, they'll... But they probably won't. They'll probably talk at it and list off a whole load of reasons why you should instruct them, but never stop to talk about the benefit. So most people in the 80s were told about, give me the strategy and the benefit. I'm saying now, modern thinking is, give me the reason, but get me talking about the benefit. Me, that's in the victim. The target, the prey, the hunted. Get me to talk about it. Now, if you can get me onto the Sunday thing, you know, I'm sure you're aware, living in Bude, there's a lot of holiday makers who do buy second homes, that do come down here for a lifestyle change. Could you imagine being with an agent that isn't open on a Sunday, missing all those buyers, Mr. White? No, I couldn't. I wouldn't want to miss all those buyers. We're the only ones open. The deal's done. You've got to instruct me. Because if you truly believe that, I am the only one that's open. Everyone else hasn't invested in your out-of-area buyers. They're hoping a local person's going to buy. Mr. White, do you think local buyers are armed with as much cash as a London buyer? What's he going to say? No. Probably. He's going to say, I don't know. Yes. Or no, I think local buyers are more wealthy. Unlikely. Yeah? But if I say it, so you see what I'm saying? I'm saying twist it a little bit and reverse the psychology and turn the gun on the client. By getting them to say that they need an agent that's open on Sundays, they need an agent that's got Zoopla, because they want to attract the out-of-area London market, or market moving in that direction. Home counties London, however you want to present it. South East sounds probably a little bit too big. It's also not true. But London and M25 and the home counties, it is correct to say that you're going to get more inquiries from Zoopla or from that web. If you actually went and checked all your inquiries from Zoopla, I promise you they've come from that part of the world, in the majority of occasions. Most inquiries I know come from Rightmove, you know that, I know that.
So would you actually say, could you imagine not being on with an agent that's not open on a Sunday, would you actually go as far to assassinate the competition like that?
I wouldn't mention the brand. I wouldn't mention the
but
specific
you would
company.
say that. You would say that.
Or something along the lines of, right, so if we agree then that Sunday is a big pull, I presume you're going to want to instruct an agent that's open on Sunday.
Okay.
I'm glad you say that because we are, and I think you went as far to say when we're staffed with full-time staff. I can't remember, I might have made that up.
No, I think so. It's me.
Are we staffed? Okay, you said it was you.
Yeah.
Are we staffed with full-time staff?
No, it's one in the office on Sunday.
But is it one of us?
Yeah.
Right, so it's never a part-timer?
No.
Right, so, and the other thing is you say, and so not only are we open on a Sundays to make sure we do it, it's the proper full-time team that's in, because you might then eliminate people that are open on Sundays but with weekenders. Yeah? So that when that buyer comes in from out of the area, not only are we there to deal with them, it's an expert dealing with them. It's a qualified estate agent who, well, qualified, it's one of our top team that will deal with them to turn the inquiry into a viewing, which hopefully will lead to a sale. But the first thing you want to do is get to accept that Sunday's a good idea. Yeah? Yeah? I'm sure you'll agree that out of area buyers, we've just agreed 60% of buyers come from, and if that's true, that 60%, we should have some sort of pictorial thing in our pack that says 60% of buyers come from Devon. That's why we've set up a system to get them for you. Like a little infographic or something. We need to create it, don't we? Make sure it's correct, because somebody will jump on your backside if it's not. So does opening questions make sense? I mean, is that yeah? So give me some examples of other benefits. We're going to write them down. In fact, I'm going to get that young man in the corner there to flip that page over. And we'll start here as a pen here. So, right, let's put the first three up. One is we're open Sundays, which is fairly unique to us.
Yeah.
And are we open a full day on Sundays, or half day, or quarter day?
10 till 2.
Yeah, okay, so we're there a big chunk of time. We need to make sure that's in our presentation, but not just by saying to the clients, and we're open Sundays. That's better than not mentioning it, by the way. But get them to understand why that is, and get them to talk about Sundays. Oh, I don't want to miss out on, yeah, okay, the best way to observe that is to go with an agent that's open Sundays. We are one of those agents. We're not the only one, but we're one of the only few. Imbued with the only one.
In Weybridge we are.
In Weybridge we are. We are the only agent on Sunday, sir. Or madam. Yeah, please by all means ring any of my competitors on Sunday between the hours of 10 and 2, and then ring me.
And we do viewings in our office outside that time as well.
Yeah, so the office is definitely open 10 to 2. There's someone there, the call will be answered.
Unless we get viewing booked in.
You've got to be a little bit careful with that call thing, because they might spin to Moneypenny or similar.
Right.
They're not open, but they get calls into somewhere. So we're open Sundays. Zoopla is a benefit over most of your competition. What else did you pick out? There's one other thing.
Network of offices.
Network of offices. Now, obviously that doesn't eliminate Webbers or Bradleys, but it eliminates a lot of your competition, doesn't it? If they buy into it. What else? You hinted at it, the experience of your team, I think, probably is you know, the combined experience and age and experience of the team.
In our office, I use the location to sell us because of where we are. The camel trail goes past our door.
So if you're in a particularly high-profile branch, which most of yours are, you know, we have prominent high street branches. If you say to client, you know, if the client was, I wouldn't bring this in particularly unless the client mentioned it. But if they're talking about online, you obviously need to say to them, look, do you think that there is a, you know, what we invest heavily in our branch network. This is why I've got these 2 lists of buyers, because people know we're existing. But not only have we got branches creating these 2 lists, they are really prominent. And a piece of evidence would be, I would print off the internet because all your offices are done side by side. You've just added Oakhampton, and there they are. Don't tell them you've got a network. Show them. Give them the evidence. Your buyer can walk into any one of these, and not just Monday to Friday, over the weekends as well. Because as we've just discussed, show them the evidence. Excuse me. What else? What else have you got? Centralised sales progression for some of the offices, I think, now?
Yeah.
Centralised sales progression?
Newspaper advertising. Nobody looks at it, I find.
We don't do it.
Otherwise, we don't get any inquiries from it, but vendors, I find, always ask, do you have
In which case, we just need, for the benefit of taking for Carl's notes, we need to add taking the local newspaper. Are we in it?
No, not in Weybridge, we've just come out.
Right. For the offices that are in it, you need to take the local newspaper to show the client.
We find Weber's ad is a little half page and ours is a big full page.
That's a little bit like how big your slong is, isn't it? I mean, you're basically just having a bit of a dick fight, but but basically you're in a position where if you've got a benefit, show it. And what you want to say to them is that how I would sell that, I'll be honest with you, we came out in the newspaper as well, but bizarrely, because everyone's come out, we found out going back in it has worked to our advantage. Because we're presenting our properties to an audience that's now they're hungry for property, there's nothing there for them, as are. I think zigging when everyone else zags is a brilliant business tactic, even if it's going backwards in time. So if everyone's coming out of the newspaper, sod it, go back in. A lot of agents have stopped doing leaflets. I found that leaflets have become more powerful because instead of getting 10 leaflets now, they're just getting yours. Brochures, a lot of estate agents have stopped doing brochures. And I'm finding that agents that do brochures, not in this part of the world, but a lot of agents, in London you wouldn't get given a brochure. You walk into a £10 million house, you are not going to get given a brochure. You'll get given a CD, you might get given a USB stick, you might get given something, but it is not a brochure. The very big stuff and the developer stuff, I'm sure is. But some agents have now said, actually, we're going to go back in time because we're going to stand out from the crowd. What else you got there? What else we got?
Courtesy cars.
Branded courtesy cars for like taxi service for viewers. I think I might have shared this with you, that the guys at Romans used to show clients around other agents' properties. Yeah, so they bring up to view through us, and the client will be, where can you view? Oh, well, I've got 3 through Richard Jones. It's, okay, well, don't worry, we'll take you to those as well. And they did. They didn't want to take them around the house, they wanted to get an intro into the owner. Branded courtesy, let's call it, the purpose of that is viewing taxis, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Viewing taxis. What else?
For us in Billiford, we're open until 6, whereas our competitors are open until 5, half 5.
Is that the same across the group?
Yeah.
So longer opening hours?
Yeah, I do use that.
Longer opening hours?
On average, I think it's about 27 hours per month, the difference with BOP being open in comparison to our competition.
So maybe Carl, what we need to get from this is some infographics that say 60% of buyers come from out of the area. We work 27% more hours, that probably includes the Sundays.
Yeah.
And put some infographics, and then you guys can do the journey. Old teaching would have given you the following sentence, which means that. We're open Sundays, which means that. That's better than just telling them is better than nothing, which means that is better than just selling the service without telling them the benefit. Getting them on a ground where they actually tell you the benefit is utopia. Proper sales. Yeah? You'll earn exponentially more money if you can learn the ability to turn these into the client saying, I get the benefit. Oh Christ, I can see being open on Sundays means I'm going to get all these, city fools coming down paying top money for my property. Yes, you are. If I say it, you're done. Simply if I'm imbued, because no one else, there's no one else there. I mean, it sounds like some of you have got competitors that are open Sundays. But Weber's really shut on Sunday.
Apart from Barnstable, yeah.
Torrington
open as well now, yeah. So they're coming out of the woodwork then.
Torrington Weber's have started.
Well, possibly they're open because you guys
hours
have
at
started
the
to
same
kill them. I
time.
don't know, but maybe they're reacting to the pressures
They're
of
not
your
even
market.
second to us in view.
Yeah. So it could just be maybe the owners think it's open Sunday. I mean, stop to think. It could just be people who decided not to be open. I'm sure their website says open 7 days a week.
They are, it's just John didn't want to open on a Sunday.
There's definitely nobody in there.
No, and Andrew won't in Launceston either.
So you're going to need to say that. So they might tell you they're open, but please just take a walk down on Sunday and check for yourself. Clearly, if you're going to use these advantages, you're going to have to make sure that they're true. Yeah, because if you, as we know, the biggest single reason you get instructed is trust. So if you say something that's untrue, one, their radar will pick it up, that they'll think you're not sure of what you just said. And secondly, if it's proved wrong, then they'll think, well, what else have they told me that's a bit of a porcupine? On the prices, on the price thing, you did the top, middle and bottom. Yeah? Pretty well as far as I could see. And I think a version of that is where you want to be. So how I would have... Oh, sorry, is there any more benefits first before we can go on?
Virtual tours.
Virtual tours, yeah, if that's a benefit. Do we do the VR stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new cameras,
Yeah.
Who supplies that for you?
I Spy.
And it's a camera that people can come into the office and see?
Yeah.
Do the valuers take those on the valuation appointments?
Some do, not all.
Okay, because the big part of that theatre is incredible.
Yeah.
No one's really going to come in your branch in 2 years' time to look at these virtual tools. They might do now, because it's new, but the people that are really getting their rocks off on these virtual tools is us. But if you are on the valuation and you show the client a real working example of how that, and make sure the one that you show them is relevant to the property that you're going to. So if it's a farm, get a farm. If it's a two-bed flat, luxury flat, get a flat. If it's a whatever, and show them and say this could be your property. Put these goggles on. Have a look. Is it the one where you stare and it takes you through the? Yeah.
The hardest thing is the internet connections at the minute, because you've got to have an internet connection to be able to do the tour. So I think we're in talks with them at the minute to see if we can get them downloaded somehow onto the actual phones.
Yeah, well, most people I know just download them straight into the phone.
Yeah,
you can buy cardboard branded headsets.
Yeah, we got them.
Yes, you would have to download them because otherwise you could provide a clunky experience. And therefore, my experience is the minute it goes wrong and you want, you'll never do it again. Because it's like turning up and it's just like the magician's trick doesn't go right, does it? He pulls out a rabbit and the wrong one now. But the best way to do it is to download to a physical.
Yeah, but it's just a program. I think I Spy you can't do that at the minute, but they're looking into it.
Well, I need to say to them, either sort it, or we'll go. I can put you in touch with loads of people that'll do it. Hundreds of people do it. Romans have now got pods where you go into their office. Literally, you go. No one goes in. It's just they've taken a picture of the pod and told the clients that we now will save your time because people can come here and view first. They don't think people are going to come to the pods, but they all do take these headsets on the valuation. But VR, yeah, why not? Any others?
Digital magazine, I'm sending out the emails.
If it's unique to us, yeah, digital magazines. You guys long beyond this meeting will be able to write down hundreds of things that you can think of. There's you, in my opinion, individually. I'd always say to the client, and above everything else, you get me. Yeah. Actually, on that list of stuff, we didn't say that we'd take a list of all the properties we've sold. So I would be saying to the client, look, here's a list of buyers, and at some point I'd be saying, here's my success. Here are all the houses I have sold in your postcode. And that can be a 3-year list, it doesn't matter. So you might need to just add, show them how successful you've been. Because how many businesses have been open longer than one Oxford Phillips in each of your locations? Not many. And even if they have, will they take the list? Or will they take just the last 2 or 3? Yeah? And just to give you total peace of mind, this is what I've sold. In addition to which, do you have the reviews, online reviews?
Yeah.
And this is what the people have said about me, or us. Have it to print off the reviews, take the reviews.
Yeah, rating, gold on.
Yeah.
Well, you're the #1 agent in the Devon, yeah?
Top 10 in the country.
He didn't come up there, but I would hope that you all take that certificate. Yeah, might not use it, but take it. It's a benefit. You fought hard for the reviews. You certainly did a good job to get one. Show people. They don't, after you've gone, think, oh no, I'm going to go on Rater Agent and see what they... That's not what they do. That's not what they do. So we should take Rater Agent. It's a definite differentiator. I saw a certificate in Barnsley this morning that said you're the #1 in Devon or something. Did I not see that?
Top 10 in Devon, yeah. I think we come.
Did it? Maybe
I think we come 10th, yeah.
Either way, you're in the top 10. Out of interest, as long as your competition aren't 8, 9 and...
They're not.
Right, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I would use that. It's a powerful thing, isn't it? It's a third-party recommendation. All the reviews are bullshit, but who cares? So somebody's saying that you're... Not all the reviews, some of the reviews aren't real. But, the public at large is saying that you're doing a pretty good job. Use it. Use it both here, but it should be on that list of things to take in the pack. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. But what you need to do is move from telling without giving the benefit. If you can't get to the open questioning skill, then which means that. And then you sell the benefit. We're open Sundays, which means that we won't miss out on out of area buyers or people that are browsing at a weekend when they've got free time. I'm sure you can see there's a benefit. That's number 2. Number 3 is, what sort of people do you think are going to be out and about looking on a Sunday? Well, I don't know, maybe people from out of the area. Absolutely people from out of the area. Did you know that 60% of people out of the area, we're open on Sunday purely to catch those buyers? We don't want to be. We'd much rather be at home with our families, but we're here to sell your property because we don't want you to miss out on this out of area buyer. But I've now said, out of area buyers, me that said it, not you. You can move, it's hard to do, by the way, but it's better than, which means that it's better than machine gunning. Any questions on that before we just move on to the price?
How would you like start that off then? So you've just sat down at the table. How would you start going into the benefits and asking the questions and that kind of thing? Would you just sort of say, I'll tell you a little bit about us?
Depends what I knew and what I didn't know. So for example, if they bought it from us, I'd probably say, look, obviously we bought it, you bought it from us. Really great that you come back to us, or it could be that we were recommended.
Right.
You know, Mr. Smith recommended us. You know, and I would just break the ice. It could be that I don't know very little about them at all, and I would say, look, you know, just tell me a bit about, just you know, a bit about your plans, where you're looking to move to, and hopefully things would open up in the conversations.
So you would try and get them to talk about, maybe, yeah, like you say, start with what maybe they want to purchase onwards. Start.
All I want is them talking.
Yeah.
Because as they're all the time they're talking, I can't be lying. Yeah. And I mean that in terms of the psychology of selling. Yeah.
You could also ask them what's important to them from their agent. So what's
That's true.
so if you're,
I suppose it opens it up, doesn't it, for them to.
So what are you looking for from your estate agent?
Yeah, and then they would pick it up and
Any form of conversation that's, I would almost ask questions that are a bit bizarre. And I'm not saying, you know, what colour underwear you're wearing, but I mean, you know, I'm talking about, you know, what made you called Bond Oxford Phillips? Shut my mouth rather than was it because? Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you for calling us. Can I just quickly ask, what was it that attracted you to our brand? And they might say, well, you're open Sundays. Oh, what was it you see the benefit about being open on Sundays? I've seen lots of your boards around. Yeah, okay, lots of people choose it. Well, why do you think loads of people choose it? What is it you think that we do that makes people... I'm really interested in your feedback. Well, I think it's probably your network of offices. May join the network of offices. The bloke's just told you that's why he thinks you're successful. So get the client talking, because all the time they're talking, they'll give you the bullet that you need. Without the bullet that you need, you are machine gunning a target that's 100 yards away. You might miss. A sniper doesn't miss. One bullet, bang, right in the head.
So how would you deal with the answer to that as, oh, well, I just wanted to get 3 valuations, so I just picked 2?
Brilliant. Thanks for picking us, and then I'll have to go into my conversation. Yeah.
What do you do when you get people that are really, really hard to talk to?
I would just have to present. Yeah. Generally speaking, when people aren't talkative, though, there's something that we've done in our body language that has offended them during the process. Generally speaking, and it's rare you get them. I got it when I fell down the stairs, and literally the woman was, you know, completely blanked. She didn't move. It was almost like she was angry that I'd fallen down the stairs. And I'm sure she pushed me. She was wearing a dressing gown as well, which is a bit bizarre. But yeah, I fell down the stairs. She took a step towards me, and I'm thinking, and she wasn't, and I literally took a step, woo, and flipped back. But there was no emotion there at all. I couldn't get anything from her at all. I couldn't get any flicker of. It was almost like that we were there under duress. She didn't want us to be there. You know, she resented the fact that I was even there. Maybe her husband had booked the appointment. Maybe it was a matrimonial. I don't know. We did get that one on in the end, I think. But open questions, getting me talking, is where you need to get. And the only way you're going to get from your current style to that is to practice. With colleagues, role play, with the camera if necessary. Do not practice with live bullets, because each one is worth about $3,000 to your business. Yeah? You'll find yourself going into uncomfortable territories that you'll suddenly feel really uncomfortable and nervous. And the place to be uncomfortable and nervous is on the training pitch, not on the football pitch. So practice, 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 practice until you've really got it, and then start developing little areas of your patter, and then move towards. Yeah? But if you can get me speaking and get me down the route of your benefits, you will win loads more instructions than you currently do. Talking about all the benefits and using the line which means that will win you more than possibly the traditional style. Even just giving me the benefits are going to be better than the list of things is going to be better than saying nothing. But I can't believe you don't go there and tell them some virtues. But generally speaking, estate agents, the ones I film, the ones that I've had filmed, the ones that I've escorted, they will literally machine gun the client. We're open Sundays, we're on Zoopla, we've got loads of buyers, and the client's thinking, yeah, but so what? That's what the other guys say. So it's just a game of who they like the most, which is great because you're all likeable people. But if you can move it beyond that, You're in a different stratosphere in terms of your ability to win the property. But on the price, the best way to deliver the price is two things. Have every single comp on the planet that you can possibly find, yours and the other agents. Yeah? But you've got 3 special comps, and probably the only 3 that you're going to use. You are going to have one property that is clearly not as good as theirs. Any reasonable person would accept this property is similar, but not as good as theirs. And I use the term any reasonable person because there are some unreasonable people. Yeah? But it is clearly inferior to their property. Not so inferior to be irrelevant, but clearly inferior and relevant to them. Location, couple of doors down, smaller property, not been extended, single garage, not double garage, no driveway, loft conversion, no loft conversion. It's the same house but similar. That property can be yours, it can be another agent's, it can be anybody's. It doesn't have to be yours. Never be scared of showing people that you know the market inside out and that you are not afraid of putting another brand in front of them, because to do so is just folly, because they'll find out. They'll be aware. You need a property that is significantly better than theirs. Any reasonable person would suggest it's significantly better, but not so far better that it's under a relative. You know, if you're valuing a 2-bedroom flat and take a farm, yeah, it's not relevant. Yeah. If you take a 2-bedroom flat at 800 square feet and take a theirs is 800 square feet, and you take a 2-bedroom flat at 1,000 square feet, that's clearly relevant. Yeah. It must still be for sale if at all possible. I should tell you why. Could be yours, could be another agent's. I don't suggest all 3 comparables are not yours. I think at least one of them needs to be ours. And all the ones in your briefcase are going to be yours. And then you've got one that's as near as damn it as you can make it, the property that you're pinning your hopes on, which can be quite difficult in some circumstances because you've got some very unique individual properties around. I can show you another technique which requires the balls of a rhinoceros to do, but I will show it to you in a minute, or give it to you. But it works, and it's brilliant theatre. But 9 times out of 10, this one will serve you. So what you need to do is basically do pretty much what Matt did. Mr. White, let's have a look. Be in control. Don't be nervous. Don't shake. Don't, just be confident, because you are the expert in the room. Remember, they have asked you around. They didn't call Bond Oxford Phillips because they think you're useless. They've allowed you into their home because there is an element of respect for your opinion, and you are the expert. So be the expert. There is no need. They're more scared than you. Yeah, they genuinely are more scared than you, or more apprehensive than you. They're desperate for what you're going to say to align with what they say. They're more apprehensive than you. Their entire life might be at stake if they're way out on their price. Yours is just a fib. They are definitely more scared than you. They may have seen a property that they've